Make sure you stick around for this one, guys. You're going to want to see this. Cue the burnout. Alright guys, what's up? And welcome to the Chop Shop. This one's really cool. And I don't even really know how to introduce it besides maybe not waving my head back and forth between the light. Again, still recording on my broken camera. I'm really, really sorry. It's just not necessarily in the funds or the time or blah, 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 blah. Anyway, long story short, I met a gentleman on Facebook. And it turns out that he happens to own a museum and a hot rod school. His name is Kevin Masters, and it is the Masters Museum and Hot Rod School. And he was not only kind enough to let me in and do a little bit of recording, but this is the thing that he does one day a week, and it's pretty much open to the public. And you can bring your wife, friends, family, kids, anyone you know who wants to learn about old hot rods and engines. It's open to you. I will link all of his information to the museum if you would like to contact him. And again, I apologize. My broken camera, there's huge glare on it the whole time, and it sucks, but I'm going to send it. And I was so caught off guard by not only how cool Kevin is and the stories of his father, but his just extensive isn't even the word for it. I mean, the guy just has endless knowledge. I don't even know, I could go on and on and on and on, but unlike a lot of the old hot rod guys who have, been stolen from and deterred from sharing their stuff and showing you their old hot rods and whatnot, he wants to share it. Like I said, he's got a school. He's trying to bring you in to his environment and teach these things so that these skills and this passion isn't lost. So, without further ado and rambling on, I'm just gonna jump right into it and show you this place. It was so cool, and he wants to do some more shooting. I'm gonna try and get out there as much as I can, get my hands dirty and learn some stuff myself, because he's got wood forms, and they're doing all kinds of metal fabrication and fiberglass stuff, and it's hot rod heaven out there. It's amazing. So, Kevin, if you end up watching this, thank you. You made my day, and I can't thank you enough for welcoming me out to your place, and I will for sure see you again. And I can't wait to get my hands dirty and learn some stuff. So check it out, guys. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Chop Shop. And I was invited to the Masters Hot Rod Museum here, and this is Kevin, the owner, and he's been kind enough again to invite me in here and is showing me around. So I figured I'd fire up the camera and let him do his thing. This is my first time ever here, and I literally know nothing about it. So,
yeah, there's a Hot Rod School Museum. It's kind of I took care of my father for many years with Alzheimer's, and he was in the house and he was violent Alzheimer's, so someone had to be close to him all the time. So I had to stay with him pretty much 24/7 because he was a big guy, and I didn't want to dope him up all the time. So I was the only person who could control him. So I could come out here, and in a minute and a half, I could be up to the house, and if my mom needed me to take care of Dad when he'd go through one of his spells. So then I was kind of 3 years of it, just me and Dad and Mom, and I decided to start the school to have something to do. And,
now, is he a gearhead as well, or is that just a thing that you?
This is Dad's.
He started this.
Yeah, this is Dad's.
This is
Dad's collection. And, believe me, it didn't look like this when I took it over, because his Alzheimer's had affected him so much that he just hoarded the whole building full of boxes of stuff. I couldn't walk through this door to walk back into the back of the building. It was so full of stuff. It took me and the kids 4 years to clean this up to where we're at right now.
Wow.
We still got a lot of work left to do. But yeah, Dad collected Willieses. It's something that he did since the 1950s. This is the largest selection of different styles of 33, 34 Willieses in the country. So it's got sedans and roadsters and pickups and deliveries and coupes. the one and only 33 Willys Cabernet Coupe, one of 5 Phantoms, and I have 2 Willys Roasters here, which they only make 5 of those, so I got 2 of the 5 of those.
Wow.
So the collection is very rare.
It's very rare, and they're all in immaculate shape, they appear, as well.
Well, Dad acquired them many years ago when you could buy them for next to nothing. And then, of course, fortunately we have a building to put them in, and inside storage really helps a lot.
I say they've been hanging out in here for a very long time, I assume.
Yeah, and most of them were actually more assembled, but when he got sick, he thought people were stealing stuff, so he started disassembling cars and hiding the parts. Okay?
That seems to be a real common trend.
Yeah, so I've been, over the last 8 years, finding things like buried in the blowing insulation over the attic, digging through there with a friggin' pitchfork and here clap.
Really?
Pull out a bumper. I mean, when I say he hid stuff, I mean he literally hid stuff.
Well, I mean, these parts, especially now, are so rare and hard to come across. I mean...
Well, that's the other thing is, though, if you stole them, who are you going to sell them to? There's only a handful of guys in the whole country that know what they are and what they're worth.
Very true, yeah, that's...
So, you know, and we all know each other, so if you show up with a bunch
exactly
of...
right. Exactly right.
Somebody's going to go, those are masters, you know?
Yep, I knew exactly where those came from.
Well, like I said, Dad's been doing this forever. This red coupe over here, everything's a little dirty. We actually work on the front of the shop, so everything gets dusty.
That's all right.
I kind of leave the layer of dust on everything, because if you wipe it off all the time, you're just going to ruin the paint.
Yeah, you're scratching the paint all up. A little dirt never hurt.
But this is our pro gas car. It's a 990 bracket car. It runs 990, 990, 990, 990, 990. But Dad's had that car since 1958. Where you drove down to the Ozark Mountains of Missouri and brought it back in the back of a pickup truck bed.
Wow.
And put it together with a Hemi on it, and then raced it in the 60s. And then it was redone to where it sits now in the early 1980s. And then he raced it all the way up until the early 90s.
So that's a Survivor rod, still owned by the original builder.
Yeah. And then this one next to it, Dad gave me that when I was 16, even though I've never been allowed to mess with it. And now he's been gone for 3 years. I still can't bring myself to work on his stuff. It's kind of crazy. But this was, that coupe was built in 1962, and was actually used in a pornographic movie in 1965.
Really?
Teenage High School Dreams. There's no reason why I know that. Then the little pickup truck over there, that was actually...
Oh, I didn't even see that was a pickup.
Yeah, in the...
You mind if I wiggle back there? Is there room to wiggle back there?
Yeah, you're more welcome.
I'm gonna
Watch the dog
try to
tail.
step on the dog.
But that's actually... Someone broke into the shop and stole the hood and the windshield.
Oh, so this is all a replacement.
Right, and then Dad got disgruntled and kind of just quit messing with it, but... He built that in 1971. He built it in 30 days and took it to the Street Rod Nationals and made all the magazines, including full-page features. And it was actually used in the 1970s and the early 80s in the Hot Rod magazine mailbag section. So it's been in like 100 issues of Hot Rod.
How cool. Is that crushed velvet in there, I see?
It's crushed velvet. And I grabbed the whole complete crushed velvet interior to go back in it.
How cool.
He started putting a Buick V6 in it, and then never finished it. When he took the Chevy 2 4-cylinder out, and that's what the kids are working on right now up in the front, is actually getting ready to detail that motor so the 4-cylinder can go back in there the way he originally built it. Now,
cool.
next to it is Overland Express. That's a delivery, and that's what started the van business in Elkhart. We were doing those, and my mom was doing hippie vans. And I come in and asked if we could do it to a brand new truck in 1970, a brand new van, when they came out with new van styles. And Mom's like, why not? So she did the first van conversion in Elkhart.
Wow. Is that a full ragtop all the way back?
Well, they have vinyl inserts on all of them, because that way they didn't have to finish the body.
Oh. Yeah, see, that's got it too, huh?
Yeah.
Wild.
Yeah, the only one that doesn't have it is the race car here, and that's been filled for aerodynamics. And that one's getting new wood in it. That's where he was working on it when he stopped. When he drove down the road, the vinyl top bubbled up.
Oh, just got loose and air was getting in it.
It bothered him, so he took it apart. You know.
This is too cool.
That's a 32 Buick Type T limousine back there in the back. That one's just like I said, it's like a 12 or 15 passenger.
How many of these are in existence?
Just a handful, and very few in that condition, body-wise.
Wow.
And then Dad liked to still box jewelry cars. That's why you see those all around the outside.
Those are cool. I don't blame him one bit. What would have powered that limousine from the factory?
What's that?
What would have powered that limousine from the factory?
Straight 8.
Straight 8?
Yeah.
Very, very cool. Look at all this. You said you've been 4 years? 4 years you've been kind of organizing?
Yeah, cleaning and organizing. Like I said, you couldn't walk through this back here at all.
Too cool.
But even like this car right here that's in pieces sitting here on the frame, this is the one of one 33 Willys Sport Coupe. They only made one of them. And they made them that actually had a wooden floor pan in them. So this one sat outside, and the floor pan rounded out. So when Dad went to move the car, the body literally fell apart.
Just collapsed.
So I myself came up with a steel floor pan for it out of a four-door sedan, which the floor pans will interchange. And so I put the steel floor in it. I'm getting ready to gray tape and super glue it, you know.
Start doing your magic?
Well, some self-tapping screws and little spot welds, and make it look like a car again at least.
Start getting her back together.
Yeah, kind of piece it up and tap the doors on it and stuff.
Squeeze through here without breaking nothing.
And then,
Woo, that voice though.
and this is my pickup. This is a wheel stander.
Oof. That's actually what brought you, or me to you originally.
Oh, the wheel stander?
As I saw this, because I was looking for a new project, and then I noticed that the Thunderbird, right? You had a Thunderbird you were working on? Was in the background, and went back and forth, and then you had mentioned the Masters, your little museum, and I stalked you for a second on Facebook, and I saw that dragster. I was like, I almost bought that dragster. I was like, what a small world. And here we are.
Yeah, the dragster popped up one night. I called the guy who made the deal, and I had a guy there by noon the next day to pick it up.
Very cool. Yeah, I had gotten
Really cool stuff. If you screw around,
it's gone.
You lose it.
I didn't have the cash on me, so I had to get. I had gotten pre-approved for a loan, and was literally just trying to set up a day to come get it, and then pick up my cash and run down. And it was already too late.
Well, when my driver got down there, it turns out they had like 3 or 4 people on their way to buy the thing.
I'm not surprised. That thing's cool.
Basically, it was whoever got there first was the winner. And my guy
You made
was
it, huh?
pissed if he drove all the way down to Kentucky and fucking. Oh, excuse my language, but
This is
got
my-
all the way down to Kentucky and the thing was gone. You know, I would still had to pay him for the whole trip and everything. But yeah, this is a really cool vehicle. Also, it's been updated. The seat is moved over towards the center. It's got Mustang 2 front suspension underneath it with a rack and pinion. It's got a 9-inch Ford in it with dual caliper rear brakes on it, so you can steer it when it's in the air. It originally ran with 500 Cadillac, which is in it still.
Very
I've got
cool.
stuff to put a small block in it, just because.
Easier.
Well, last thing you want is 500 Cadillac coming down from a wheelie.
Yeah, but 500 caddy.
It's a little bit on the heavy side.
Yeah. Too cool.
And then that's a 33 Willys pickup that I'm redoing. The wood was all rotted out, so I in the process of redoing all the wood in it. The wood's red because they painted the wood before they built the body around it, the color that the body was going to be. So if it's going to be a green car, the wood would have been green. And this is going to be red, so the wood's all red. And it's funny, is I duplicated the original woodwork exactly, and from the back you can look at it, it's actually crooked. And then after I got all in there, I was like, that can't be crooked. So I went back to the original one, measured it all out, and it's crooked too.
It's crooked from the factory.
Yeah, because you know these things were just coach built. They built them one at a time, and they beat it all together, and they bent the metal around it, and they actually nailed it on there with a hammer and nails. That's what holds the wood on there. It just nails. Yeah,
and there was no legitimate quality department in the automotive until what, late 70s, 80s?
Well, even the guys that were supposedly quality, we redid a Auburn Speedster, and we did the whole thing up and went to try to put the back bumper on, and couldn't align anything in the back bumper. Everything was off. So we started doing some measuring, and it turns out the one fender on the driver's side is 2 inches smaller than the fender on the driver's side. Okay? So Dad thought that was just totally screwed, and you know the fender was screwed. So we drove down to Auburn to the museum, and they have 3 of them in the showroom. All right. So we got the curator, got permission to go behind the thing, and we took a string so that we had the measurements to pull the string over everything and see how long everything was. All 3 cars sitting in the showroom all had fender on one side that was 2 inches smaller than the other.
Wild.
And they had a rubber ground lid around the bumper so that you could adjust the bumper to make it look like it was right.
To
and
compensate for it.
Hit it, you know?
That sounds about right.
Yeah, because those are just beat out over a wooden buck.
Hey.
And the original wooden buck was 2 inches shorter than the other one, and they just how they built it.
Just sent it.
You know?
Hey.
But those are Auburn speeders. How much are those worth today?
No lie. So I work in a factory. I know what it's like when you build so many of one thing every day. Sometimes you just got to send it.
Yeah, like I said, and the Willys, they were the economy car. These model 77s.
Yeah, who would have thought they'd be made into dragsters and be such a collectible hot rod now?
35 mile an hour top speed with 35 miles to the gallon. So.
The next thing you know, they're stuffing Hemis in them and doing wheelies.
Well, Ohio George Montgomery was here one day, and my dad took him for a ride in this one because Dad always kept this car running and driving. It was his parade car, and so you could always hop in that thing and go. And Ohio George come out, and he ran the Malco gasser, which running 140 mile an hour in the quarter, and so 10 different national championships and so forth. And it's basically virtually the same car, and it even uses a stock style front end on it. Well, George come back, Dad ran that thing up to about 45 mile an hour, and it's running all over. It goes from one side of the road to the other at 45, and George come back and said that was the scariest ride he'd ever had in his life. I can't believe we ever drove one of those for close to 150 mile an hour.
Yeah, they don't look like a vehicle. I mean, after even when you do a custom chassis and suspension, they don't appear to have the aerodynamics to want to go fast.
Well, the coupe was done, and they took George's car to the Ford wind tunnel, and they ran it through the wind tunnel, and because of the shape of the coupe is literally shaped like an airplane wing, longer on top than it is on the bottom, it creates uplift, and so it's actually just a flying wing. They determined that at 140 mile an hour, it created enough lift to where it would literally flip itself up and land on its side and slide down the track. And then at any more speed than that, it'll cause it to flip or tumble. And so that's why they chopped the top on Ohio George's car in the wind tunnel. And they chopped it the first time, and they cut it all down, and it made improvements, but it just wasn't right yet. So they actually cut it, instead of being flat, it's like this. So when the wind comes up and goes down, it gets rid of the little pocket of air behind it and actually holds more downforce. So they can make it more stable at over 140. But the Ford wind tunnel, like I said, they were in shock that this car literally tried to rip itself off the chains off the ground at 140 mile an hour. But and to this day, there's a lot of guys that build the nostalgia cars, and I try to tell them that you don't want to go. They keep going faster and faster, just like the guys did back in the day. Well, at a certain point, next thing you know, their car's kind of floating at the end of the track and sliding down the track on its side. Mm-hmm. And I could explain to them, it wasn't Ohio George and his Mustang that killed the gassers. It was the speed they were going. And
just kept pushing it and pushing it and pushing it.
And that Mustang was way more aerodynamic than the Willys was, and actually held itself down to the track when it went down. And so that's when aerodynamics became more of a factor than the weight transfer.
Yep.
So
with technology comes more speed.
Yeah, then like this is the frame to this pickup, and this is made from all pieces of well-known old race cars. So the rear end is Selkirk and Bork. The ladder bars are Bad Jose from Competition Engineering. The leaf springs are Selkirk and Bork. The front axle is a spare one from Ohio George. The lift blocks are from Ohio George memories car. The push bar in the back is off my dad's Hemi race car. And the list kind of goes on from there. It's over the years, my dad acquired a lot of pieces from cars, and then
look at those old beefy old school bars on there.
Yeah, Dad had all these parts laying in the back, and then I decided to build this car as a tribute to that history and my dad. This will be a crackle only vehicle, so it'll be basically just like a model car in a large size.
Okay.
It'll never be driven. It'll just be started up at shows.
Startup, cool factor.
Yeah, there's enough history in it with the parts that you wouldn't want to go out and roll it or do something stupid like that.
Right.
Speed.
Nope. Yeah. Heaven forbid you destroy some.
To take this old tech and to bring it up to where it can be certified in today's standards, you might as well not start with all cool old stuff because they're not going to pass it anyway.
Yep.
So I don't want to put a cage in there, even a cage to make it run tens.
Nah.
Don't look nothing. These ran with either no cage or just a 3 hoop, one bar going up and one bar going down, and they were bolted to the floor. They didn't even bolt that shit to the frame. They're just roll the dice if you're going to live at the end of the run.
Hey.
Then they put all that horsepower in a freaking 100-inch wheelbase.
Uh-huh.
And it's a heck of a ride.
Yeah, they were just living life.
But George said that one of the best days of his life was they Ford dropped off this one of the first C6 transmissions. It was built to handle the power of the camera. And with the camera before, with his other tranny, the hydro, he'd have to manually shift it. So he always had a hand on the steering wheel and a hand on the shifter. So he'd run 140 mile an hour in this little Willys one-handed. Okay, so they put this freaking C6 in there that Ford gave him, and it auto shifted, and so he could drive it with two hands, and just take off and within gear and go, and it shifted it on time, boom, boom, boom. And so he said that was one of the best days ever because he went from one-handed to two-handed.
And there it is, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. And, you know, I'm sorry that I kind of abruptly stopped right there. He just had so much knowledge. I could have recorded him for days. And instead of just doing, you know, trying to capture all that information at one time, I'm going to go out there and, like I said, learn stuff. And he wants to start a YouTube channel himself. And he's willing to let me do some recording and stuff out there. So, you know, look forward to seeing more of him. He's got all kinds of cool stuff that I didn't even catch on camera. You know, I was just trying to talk to the guy and listen to some of the stories and just, it was a lot to take in. You know, I'm still excited. I'm still excited about it. But that's it. That's all I got for this episode, guys. You know, I hope you stuck around and checked out all those cool wheelies. And like I said, there's so much more stuff. There's a full fiberglass T-Bird, and I didn't even get up close to the Econoline. There's superchargers and old original thin valve covers and man, and stories. Some of this. We'll be back. We'll be back for sure. Stay tuned. Subscribe, share, like, leave a comment. If you've got questions, comments, concerns, let me know. I'm going to link as much information as I can to Kevin and his Hot Rod Museum and School in the comments, information section, so you can get a hold of him one way or another. So, thanks for tuning in. I'm out of here. Deuces. That's it. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, tell your mom as if she doesn't know already. I'm out this bitch.